What a beautiful, sunny day. And just to think, I've got to make a video about sex. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. I'll do it. Hello, I'm the GoldenSkull. I have my own show, and I'm talking about the age-old taboo subject of sex. Yes, the age-old thing where Mr. Pinky meets good old Mr. Pie. Or is it Mrs. Pie? I don't know, I never really did it much. But I've talked about Brian Laura's balls quite a few times, and we're not talking about that anymore. The thing is, sex is one of those things that carries on the lineage, goes down through generations, makes people alive. Some people use it for joy, some people use it for love, some use it as some of the most horrible things you can imagine, and cause pain and misery and suffering wherever they go. And of course that usually goes into the land of games. For example, Game Boy games like VIP. And of course, big mother truckers. Hey, it's gotta work somewhere, right?
If there is anything that we can be sure of, is that sex can sell. True, get a woman to get her big titties out on show and you can get a wad full of money on the gravy train. The only thing is, in the world of film and TV, sex is a definite seller, and it is shown rife in shows such as Game of Thrones, and by golly, it pleases me. However, the transition never makes it to the world of games, and I have studied this for many a year, since the early days, and I'll tell you something. Silliness as well as evil comes with sex-based gaming. I'm not going to go through an entire history here, ladies and gents. I'm just going to give you a sampler, so do enjoy. One such early example is Custer's Revenge, an Atari 2600 game whereby you're a cowboy that is dressed in nothing but a hat. I think the general premise here was to bang a woman that was tied to a cactus to the point where she was hobbling around like a half-open penknife. The game got notorious, as you can imagine, but this is not the most evil thing I can imagine. If anything, by today's standards, it's rather silly and tame. There was a slew of FMV-based atrocities in the early 90s, where you could attempt to rub off a semi. The CDI and the 3DO are a test to some quite horrific games. One such game is Supermodels Gone Wild on the 3DO, whereby you can watch scantily clad women on the beach attempting to look happy. But I'll tell you something, there isn't a slim chance of a bit of minge when you're watching this. Look elsewhere. The CDI was almost just as bad with one such game called Strip Poker Live. The game was so criminally bad that you actually didn't get to see anything when you were done. Yet again, another one to avoid. The Atari ST was also a little bit on the weird side for its turgid sex games as well. One such was Brad Stallion and the Sex Olympics. I must admit, all I got was stuck in a room and I got the main character to jack off. No, seriously, that's all I got him to do. Masturbate. Apparently you're meant to stop Dr. Dildo. No, yet again, I'm not joking. Not a clue what to do and slightly perplexed. Not the first time I've ever had to say that. Another silly one in the mid-90s that showed how much we needed to jack off was X-Tet, or Sex Tetris. Believe it or not, this was actually part of a bigger adventure game, and this bit was actually found doing the rounds at one point on copied CDs and floppy disks throughout the land. Essentially, you had to attach two bodies together and watch the fun happen. Silly, but it was Tetris after all, for overactive teenagers. What more could you have asked for? Now, another game I actually managed to find is Lula 3D, a German-based adventure game where you play as Lula, a spy who is also a porn star. Doesn't that sound familiar? Here you have to use anything you can to get past a certain obstacle, mostly involving your clunge and big huge titties. Oh, these were modelled on real boobs, by the way. Complete and utter horseshit gameplay with incredible awful voice acting top this off. You can imagine the fun here, can't you? Coming up to the present day, one of the worst games you can ever imagine is called Rape Play. If you have a strong constitution, look it up. I ain't explaining this one here, even I have my limits. If you could imagine a 5-player mode where you can rape one girl, then you're way ahead of me. Only one evil could really bring something like that.
So you see, sex should sell. But why doesn't it? Maybe it's because you humans just are so scared of the fact that, you know, it has to go in there. Well, I'm talking about the boys. I'm not sure how it works about for the girls, but you know what I'm saying? It has to go in there. It has to do its job. Or maybe, you know, I don't know. I don't understand it. But maybe one day we might actually have something like Mass Effect where sex scenes are actually considered something decent. Who knows? But I have been the GoldenSkull, and you have watched my show. I hope to see you again. Goodbye.